For almost an hour, Lionel Messi barely touched the ball. England pressed him, tracked him, and shrank the space around him until he was practically invisible. And then he walked away from Atlanta with 2 assists, the Man of the Match award, and his country back in the World Cup final. Argentina beat England 2-1 in the semi-final. But the real story isn't the scoreline. It's what happened in the final 6 minutes and 34 seconds. And what a 39-year-old man did to a team that thought they had this game won. Let's actually start from the beginning, because the first 20 minutes of this game had almost no attacking structure at all. Fouls, arguments, constant interruptions. Argentina defended in a compact mid-block, often shifting between a 4-4-2 and a 4-5-1, and it made it extremely difficult for England to find space between the lines. England's actual primary playmaker in that opening period wasn't even one of their attackers. It was goalkeeper Jordan Pickford, who was given so much time on the ball that he became the main outlet, spraying long diagonals out to the wings because the center was completely locked up. England tried to create overloads out wide instead, Bellingham drifting wide to combine with Gordon, or Spence bombing forward on the left to free up space for Gordon to cut inside. It worked in flashes, but for the most part this was a tense, cagey, foul-filled affair. Just 3 shots in the entire first half. And here's where it gets interesting tactically. Argentina were actually surprisingly aggressive from goal kicks, pressing high early on, which meant Messi himself only had to protect small pockets of space rather than covering the whole pitch. Messi and Julian Alvarez would press the center backs directly, with Mac Allister playing a hybrid role, ready to drop in or push out depending on where the ball went. But this press also opened a door for Harry Kane, because Argentina's center-back pairing are both extremely aggressive, proactive defenders who like to follow their man. Kane started dropping deep into midfield to drag them out of position, and when he did, England had runners ready to exploit the space he vacated. That's a big part of why England were able to build some promising moments in the first half, even without scoring. Now to the goal that actually broke the deadlock, 55th minute. Morgan Rogers curls a gorgeous ball around the back of Argentina's defense. Anthony Gordon, the newest Barcelona signing, by the way, a transfer plenty of people questioned at £80 million, times his run perfectly to stay onside and finishes it into the far corner. 1-0 England. The stadium erupts. For a moment, it genuinely looked like England were about to end 6 decades of pain against their oldest football enemy. But here's where it fell apart. From around the 65th minute, Thomas Tuchel pulled England into an extremely deep low block, the entire team sitting behind the ball, trying to protect a single goal for 30 straight minutes. He took off Declan Rice, arguably the best defensive midfielder in the tournament. He took off Anthony Gordon, the man who just scored, and the player giving Argentina's fullback the most trouble. He brought on defenders instead, shifting into a back 5, then effectively 6 defenders on the pitch by the closing stages. England stopped trying to win the game. They just tried not to lose it. And that is exactly the kind of situation Lionel Messi has spent 20 years waiting for. Because when England dropped that deep, something changed for Messi specifically. Earlier in the match, when he dropped to get touches, he was dropping into his own half, miles from goal, doing nothing dangerous. But once England sat in that low block, Messi could drop into space just outside their box and still be in one of the most dangerous zones on the pitch. With time, with options, and with runners ahead of him, Argentina equalized from a quickly taken set piece that exposed exactly how switched off England had become. Watch the build-up. 4 England players are standing around, talking to each other, facing away from the ball. Messi rolls it short, drawing defenders toward him on the flank, then cuts it back inside. And suddenly, the entire midfield zone in front of England's defense is completely empty. Nobody is protecting it. Enzo Fernández has the room and the composure to strike it clean from 22 meters. 1-1. Bellingham sprints to close him down at full speed. He doesn't make it in time. From that point, England had almost nothing left. 6 defenders on the pitch, no way to transition forward, no outlet, except a lone Harry Kane fighting off 3 or 4 Argentine defenders on his own. Argentina, meanwhile, kept coming. A post from Alexis Mac Allister in the 91st minute alone. A rebound scrambled clear, wave after wave of pressure, with the ball spending almost the entire second half in Argentine feet. The stat afterwards said it all. From Gordon's goal to the final whistle, Argentina had 88% of the possession. Some credit here has to go to Lionel Scaloni's substitutions too, bringing on Paredes to help control tempo. Starting Simeone, a genuine risk given how little he'd played this tournament. But his pace was exactly what was needed late on, and Montiel, whose relentless crosses from the right kept dragging England's backline from side to side. This wasn't just about Messi individually. It was Scaloni reading the moment and adapting his entire attacking shape once the low block went up, switching from patient central combinations to overloading the box with crosses, which Argentina actually hate playing but adapted to anyway because it was working. And then deep into stoppage time, the moment that finished it. Messi again, collecting the ball, drawing 2 defenders toward him, and still finding the composure to whip in a pinpoint cross with his right foot. Even John Stones, one of England's tallest defenders, couldn't get near it. Mac Allister rose above England's back line and headed it home. 2-1 Argentina, 2 goals in 6 minutes and 34 seconds. England were 4 minutes away from a World Cup final, then they weren't. Pundits were blunt about it afterward. One analyst called this almost a perfect guide on how to lose a game you've already won. Tuchel himself, in the mixed zone straight after, could barely answer the question about what his tactical identity even was. His response was short, "I don't really know what that means." Now here's the part of this story that deserves just as much attention as the football itself. In the immediate aftermath, raw, gutted, having just watched his country's World Cup dream end in the cruelest way, Harry Kane didn't make excuses. He walked into the mixed zone and in front of the cameras and said this about the man who just eliminated him. "No matter how many plans you make, when Messi touches the ball, he changes the game. For me, he is the best of all time." He was asked directly about facing a 39-year-old Messi, still deciding World Cup semifinals, and Kane's response was simple. If you're a legend, age is just a number. Destroyed by his own country's biggest missed opportunity in decades, and still finding the class to hand that kind of respect to the exact rival who ended it. That's not something you demand from someone. That's something you earn, and Messi earned it. In real time, in front of the entire football world, from the one man who had every reason in that moment to say nothing at all. Let's talk about what this actually means for Messi's story. 8 goals, 4 assists this World Cup. He leads the Golden Boot race outright. This is Argentina's 3rd World Cup final appearance for Messi in the last 6 years alone. And if you want the historical parallel, Diego Maradona won a World Cup on North American soil back in 1986. Messi is now 1 win away from doing exactly the same thing on the same continent, 39 years later. For most of this tournament, critics said Argentina hadn't faced a genuinely elite team yet. Then they walked into a World Cup semifinal against a talented, well-drilled England side, a game that was tied, tense, and slipping away from them for over an hour. And Messi still turned it, not with one highlight reel piece of magic, with 2 assists built from patience, spacing, and reading exactly where the game would open up before anyone else on the pitch could see it. He went toe-to-toe with Kylian Mbappe last World Cup and won. This tournament, he went toe-to-toe with Jude Bellingham, arguably the best young midfielder alive, and by full time, Bellingham simply couldn't get near enough to the game to matter. And spare a thought for the man on the losing side of history here. Harry Kane's own words afterward were heartbreaking in their honesty. "We struggled to get pressure on the ball," he admitted. "It just was wave after wave and we were trying to hold on. Lads were putting blocks in, but in the end it wasn't enough. Asked what England could take forward from this tournament, he called it their fourth semi-final in recent memory without breaking through. We're close, we just need to find that missing piece. For a generation of England fans who have now watched their team reach semi-final after semi-final without ever getting over the line, this one will sting differently because it wasn't a better team beating them. It was a team that trusted its own football for 90 minutes against a team that stopped trusting theirs with 30 minutes still to play. So here's the real headline from Atlanta. It's not that Argentina scored twice in the final 6 minutes. It's that they had the one player capable of manufacturing that kind of ending out of almost nothing, a player who barely touched the ball for an hour and still walked off with the Man of the Match award and his rival's captain publicly calling him the greatest of all time. England will play France for third place. Argentina now face Spain in the World Cup final, the reigning European champions against the defending World Cup champions. With Messi one win away from a second World Cup and a piece of history that would put him in exactly the same conversation as Maradona, Pelé, and nobody else. What did you make of Harry Kane's reaction after the game? And does this performance settle the GOAT debate for you once and for all? Drop your thoughts in the comments and subscribe. We are covering every second of the World Cup final build-up.